Hi everybody. After last week's no show from my guest, we're back with an absolute cracker today with my guest. I met him for the first time at Flux, and we had a real laugh. He's a really exceptionally gifted artist, and we're going to find out all about him a little bit later on, because first of all, I'm going to talk about next week's guest. Next week's guest is a real treat, actually, and it is this guy, Rennie Pilgrim. He's actually not only an international DJ, he is accredited with bringing breakbeat music into this country, and he had a record label as well, but now he's an artist, and we will be delving into what Rennie does next week. And one final little thing to say is that not only does he do all that, but he's also been in quite a few Guy Ritchie films as an extra. So, and Johnny English is another one that springs to mind. So we'll be talking to Rennie next week. So. Now, all the artists that were at Flux would have definitely seen my guest, because he towers above everybody. And in fact, how we first got to know each other is when we were putting the banners up outside Flux, and I couldn't reach, so Massimo just reached up and helped me. So first of all, as usual, I've got a little 1 minute video that I've created to introduce our guest. So energy is right, because our guest is completely full of it. So let me bring Massimo in and say, Massimo, how are you?
Hi, Gary. Oh, good. Good. Thank you for the magnificent intro. Wow.
Pleasure.
Overwhelmed already.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. I like to put a video together really to let everybody know what my guests do, but also that gives us a little bit of an intro into, right now we're going to talk about some of your work. I'm just going to swap sides with you, because it's much easier then when I make you bigger, and I can then pop down in the bottom right hand corner. So first of all, Massimo, let's delve a little bit into your roots. Where are you from? Because you and I have had a chat about this, but of course other people won't know that. So let's have a bit of background, please.
Sure. Let's do it. Let's keep it short. Probably from my name and accent, you already guessed I'm from Italy. Born and bred in Trieste, which is close to Venice and on northeast of Italy. So right on the seaside is a corner close to Slovenia and the ex Yugoslavia border. Mm-hmm. So I grew up in there. Lovely city. But Italy in general is a backdrop for creativity. So even if I didn't start my creative journey really early on, so you are surrounded by beauty, natural beauty, by artistic beauty, and so I stayed there for my first 25 years. Stay in Trieste. I didn't travel, didn't go really anywhere. Yeah, I just enjoyed the place.
Yeah. Well, I think, as I mentioned to you at Flux, Italy is right up there with being one of my favourite countries in the world. And to be honest, I've thought quite a few times of having somewhere to live there and spending a few months of the year there, because not just because of the beautiful country, but also fabulous food, conversation, brilliant wine. What's not to like, to be fair?
Everything is a piece of art, even when you go.
So now that leads on to my very first question: is what the hell did you want to come here for?
Yeah, this is a very good question. All my friends, every time I go to my hometown, everybody's still there. Nobody moved out. I'm the only one that moved out, actually. And so that question popped up very frequently. But actually, conversely, last time, actually, when I went to Italy a couple of months back, my friends asked me, whoa, what's going on in the world? What's going on in London? I say, guys, I'm coming back home. It's time. And they say, no, we don't want to come back, because you bring news from the world. So stay where you are. Come here every 3 or 4 months. You just bring a breath of fresh air. But hey, adventure. That was the key point. I never planned it. It just happened. But as soon as I got an opportunity for work to move a bit over my hometown, 100 kilometers, then it's 300 kilometers, and then it's an opportunity somewhere in Europe, and there was London, and there was Singapore. And I'm very opportunistic. Every time I have an opportunity and it's something new and exciting, I take it. That's my spirit.
Well, that's definitely the best way to be. It's certainly been my way all my life, really. Life is full of missed opportunities, and actually the ones that really make a difference to you are the ones that you grab with both hands. And all right, sometimes it doesn't pan out, but in other times, yes, it does, and it's certainly something to take into account.
Yeah.
So you moved here. You told me at Flux that you moved into into London, into a little flat, and thought, what on earth am I?
There was a shock. There was a massive shock. I was my last place in Italy. I was in Verona on the Garda Lake. I was
don't.
in a small villa, just married. I had a Lambretta in my doorstep, and a great job I was working for IBM at the time as a software engineer, traveling Italy. It was beautiful. But then I had an opportunity just for 3 months to go to London. Say, oh yeah, I just took it. So, and then I'm still here. But yeah, I ended up in Kilburn in a studio flat. Well, it was quite different from Garda Lake. And say, what am I doing here? Under the underground bridge, everything was shaking every 3 or 4 minutes.
Well, I mean, Lake Garda in particular has always been a huge family favourite. My parents used to take their camper over there every year stay for 4 or 5 weeks. We used to fly out to join them. I used to wakeboard on the lake before 9 o'clock, before the ferry started, so it was nice and flat. But it's I don't know. You can go to Garda itself. It be pouring with rain. You can walk to Bardolino, go into a restaurant, and 5 hours later you're still sitting in there talking to the people who own it.
Yeah.
Eat food, drink. No one cares. It's just such a fabulous
time runs at different speed. It's all relative.
Yeah, absolutely.
In London, actually, time became a currency. Very clearly.
That's a very good point. Time does become a currency. Yeah, brilliant. That's a great point.
At the same time, I found that, strangely enough, I found that the experience immediately very liberating. Italy, as beautiful as it is, there's also a lot of demands in conforming to beauty. There's unspoken rules about how you look, how you should talk, how you should behave. It has to be graceful within certain ways. Here in London, actually, I was free to be whatever I wanted to be. Even at work, I didn't have to change, my suit every day. I could actually wear the same suit every day. Nobody actually. I found it liberating, strangely enough.
Well, yeah, but it's interesting because skiing in Italy, you see the Italian skiing. It doesn't matter whether they're poor. It doesn't matter at all, not remotely. Because they still look very chic.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They just have a way. They just look amazing.
it's just natural. It's part of
Yeah, it just seems to be in their DNA. So you did that. You came to London. How did you then end up getting into art?
Well, it took a very long time. So my background, actually, I studied humanities, and then I ended up doing IT. I didn't see any computer in my entire life. I was 1987 pioneering, so nobody cared about a degree in IT. There was no such a thing yet. I really loved it, and again, another adventure, another way to learn, and self-taught. I just made it all the way. So I ended up in IT. I made a career in IT, in banking, finance in London. I traveled. I went to Singapore for a few years, where I had a massive team responsibilities, cross-cultural experiences. And when I came back to London in 1916, then I started to say, it's time to do something different. It's time for me to change. And for me, the way to change a career was coaching. So I ended up doing my training and certification and become a life coach. And then everything started to open up from the point onwards, because the whole coaching mindset, you have to walk the talk as a coach. It's not like therapy that I know people would disagree with this, but you can some way hide behind the license, and there are reasons for that. As a coach, you are exposed. You had to walk the talk. You had to be open and live really the life that is following your vocation, your attitudes, your talents. And all of a sudden, I discovered that actually art was always there, but I never practiced it. So I started to draw one day. I just walked into a live drawing session at the local library, and I never stopped since. Something exploded in my head, and I got immediate feedback from the facilitator, from teachers, that say, "Whoa, you've been drawing for a long time." No, actually, a week or 2 weeks or a month. And it was a completely consuming explosion, and the need to draw and explore really, first of all, life drawing and charcoal, and then I moved into watercolors, which is in my other medium. And finally, I merge art and coaching together. So I'm bringing now art into coaching, and they're feeding into each other. So it's a beautiful, following the artistic process in coaching. I found it much easier for people to go in, discover themselves through the visual approach, and then mining meaning out of images. So that kind of a high level.
Well, your tagline on your website is "Intuitive Artist by Passion." Well, that'll be the Italian in you, no doubt. And "Imagination Coach by Vocation." So imagination coach. So let's delve into that a little bit.
So imagination coach is something over and above the traditional life coaching. So life coaching is about self-awareness, but it's more a verbal approach. That is it actually is very broad. It has many disciplines, from meditation to different techniques and psychology, positive psychology. There's so many branches. But actually, what I found really, for me, it really works, is to develop our creativity through imagination. Imagination is not optional, in my opinion. Especially in these days where we see technology taking over so many parts of our life, we needed to be more resourceful. We needed to see different way of doing and thinking and reflecting and feeling as well. And I think imagination actually gives you a richer sense of reality. For me, even abstraction is more real than reality. Reality is such a simplification, it's binary things. You see it as just a chair. Imagination will see, oh, this is a wooden chair with a particular shape, this color, and the functionality. Imagination will give you an all-round descriptions of reality, and you become a richer person immediately. So this is where I put imagination at the center of self-realization in my coaching.
So how does that lead on to your art then? How do you come up with the ideas for your art? And also, and this is something that I ask actually every artist, how do you decide on your color palette? So, looking at your work, which we're going to look at shortly, you've got a rich variation in colors, but all of them work. So how do you plan a picture out? Do you start it? What do you do?
I don't. I work in a semi-autonomous way. I'll always start. I don't have any idea of what I'm going to do. I'm using only primary colors, and every time I mix them in a way that is not possible to replicate. And this is what I really like. But normally I start with just one point of color on the drawing, and then I really let my hand, my soul to come up with something. It is a bit of a walking into the unknown, and there's a lot of resistance at the very beginning, from my Italian beautification ego. Says no, you need to follow certain ideas and beauty. I'm not too sure, Gary. Maybe I lost him.
No, you haven't lost me. I've just put you center screen.
All right. Okay.
I can. No, you'll see me. I'm still here. Look.
Perfect. Oh, God. Okay. Yeah. So for me, it's part of the challenge is actually not knowing what I will do, and this is because it's part also of my coaching. We are shifting as a society. We needed to shift from the culture of knowing, having answer and solution, because technology is taking over all that. So to the area, to the not knowing, and having the courage to actually walk the line and go into the twilight of consciousness and trying to fish, out of your unconscious, what you have inside. It is actually a big challenge, but this is what I really like. And every drawing is totally unpredictable. I'm surprised when I look at them the following day. Is really an out-of-body experience. So this is where I also making a point. I'm a totally self-taught. I don't take tuitions. I never practice any technique. So everything it comes from my soul. Every mark on the paper, I believe, is from my soul.
That's quite an interesting point, because, and there'll be a lot of people out there that argue about the point I'm about to make, but I believe that if you do take a lot of tuition, you get too influenced, and therefore it takes you longer, I think, to find your path. Whereas if you are actually experimenting yourself and you're pushing yourself to try new things, you find your route. I mean, I do quite a lot of talks all over the country to different camera clubs, actually, and one of the points that I make is that every person has their eye is tuned to certain things. Yeah. So if, as a photographer, you were to go through loads of magazines and just pull out the pictures that you really love, and then you write round each picture what it is you like about it, whether it's the contrast, black and white, etc., put those all into a big pile, and then the biggest pile of all, biggest couple of piles, will be your natural eye. So therefore, if it's black and white landscape photography, for example, that's what you specialize in, because you're already halfway there, because your eye sees it. Yeah. And I think what you're basically explaining here is that you see it in within you, and because your brain, your eye is tuned to it, because you've gone down the path of experimentation, and you've taught yourself.
Yes.
But it's come from here, and it's a real different thing. I think it's much.
It is. It's also an act of courage, because in the ego will always judge, and we just bring in also the judge from the environment, and that is quite a barrier. It's not that invariably 10 to 15 minutes into every single drawing I have, I call the saboteur comes in and says, this is not good. And that is the moment that you need to press on. You need really to believe in yourself. And no matter what, you need to press on. And that is it's quite hard.
And artists generally are their own worst critics. We're all, I will be working on I could be working on something for 3 months, and at the end of it, I'll look at it and think, no, something's not right. And I think that's the bit that separates you from the people that are, and there's plenty of them that'll do. It separates you from those people. And I think that, again, it just comes down to how well you want to succeed, because people will then see that in your work. Do you also find that like doing exhibitions, like doing Flux, for example, you weren't too far away from me. I could see what was going on. I could see people coming in looking for you because you had people coming to find you. But like me, you talk, and therefore that seems to be something that's really quite important, I feel, is being able to explain to people what you do, where your work actually comes from, because you draw them in, and then they start to really understand what you're pushing for.
Yeah, so the word is success. For me, completing a drawing is a success. Just to get to the end of the process, it is a success. Then once you go out in the world is an unreliable judge. We know that. The best that you can do is to tell your story, connect.
Exactly, absolutely.
And just bring that painting alive. That painting continues to give through my stories, and some people will like it, some people won't. You just search. It's more. My attitude is instead of being a hunter and looking for people that will like my stuff, it's more of a lighthouse. You are there, you send your light out, and the people that are attracted will come to you. And those are the people that you want to connect. Those are the people that tell your story.
Well, and it's interesting. I've got Janet Cawthorne, she was just round the corner from you at Flux. She's going to come on in a few weeks' time, but we've been having a real long chat, and when I talk to her, it's going to be about her work, but there's going to be a whole big section that is actually about facial recognition and because if you remember, she specializes in art that's faces. Fascinating, the psychology behind it as well, but again, it also comes from, you need to stand there and talk to people about what you do and what's behind your work. Similar thing. You get too many artists who stand there and say, I like to let my art do the talking. Well, it doesn't, and you need to be doing pretty much what you do. And talking of art, let's jump onto the first image we can have a chat about. I'm going to put us up on the side, so that's a little bit better. So you sent me a series of pictures. This is the first one that I've selected, and again, having already just spoken about how you go about what you do, but there's we'll see in some of your work there is quite a difference between not necessarily the style, but certainly about the subject that you're creating. So you've got this is a series. I've got your website up actually. This is a series of pictures, isn't it? That are all related to each other.
Yes. So this is a series called Alchemy.
That's it, alchemy.
I'm very fond of the idea that the process and the history of alchemy, because it's about doing and transformation, and the old story was to transform a stone into gold, but it's the transformation of anything. And for me, this series is about transforming the power of emotions. So by being a coach, emotions are at the center of my work, but also in the personal life. I'm pushing the boundaries. So I was going through a period of a personal turmoil, still going, and I didn't want to go defensive. I didn't want to, in my mind, because I got some difficult experiences, to say, okay, I give up on that particular area of my life, on those emotions, and I retreat. So I wanted to give the idea that if it's contained, you can still have the full emotion. You can still play and experiment and actually feel fully alive. So each line is represents a boundary. So you need to contain the particular emotion, but within the emotion, you're free to feel.
Okay, yeah.
So that came up in this series, and for me, it was very cathartic, actually. I started with the blue, because for me, blue is a kind of safe area. Is the cool emotion, is the calming emotion. And then I ended up in red, which normally, for me, red is danger, and playing with this was not easy. That made me really more comfortable with all the spectrum of red, oranges, and yellow, and this one was very powerful. I'm very fond of this one. Helped me to leave on paper so many emotions, stand back, and then feel free. So the paper is taking over those emotions, but they're still contained within safer boundaries.
And you can really see that in this. I think you can see that in this image. It is a powerful representation of what you've just said. What paper do you actually work on?
I work on a very thick cotton rag paper. It's 680 milligrams, so it's the thickest paper on the in the shop.
Really? Yeah.
So what happens? You can really go really abundant with water, and it will keep moving, absorbing. So the trick is not doing too much, and leave the paper to do the rest.
So when you first started, and you were using this, and you hadn't used it before, because you've already said, you just went into doing drawings first of all and started on this. It must have been quite a learning curve to actually understand how watercolor reacts with paper and to get the kind of finish that you're looking, finished piece you're looking for.
Strangely enough, it wasn't.
Really?
Because it was the paper they actually drew me to watercolors, not the other way around. I went to the shop to buy paper, and I say, what the hell is this paper? It's incredible. It's just a piece of art on its own. And I say, I buy the paper, and I will do something about it. And I started to spray colors and water, and everything happened. It was instant learning. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. I started only my first watercolor ever. I never used watercolor, was in September last year. It was a year ago.
Wow. Really? Well, I thought, especially looking at your work, it had been a lot longer than that. So that's pretty flipping impressive. Okay. I think this is a different series. In fact, I know it is. And again, it's this is a similar kind of thing in that you can look at it and start seeing things. It's a bit like the ink blot sort of test that you do when you're in for psychology. That you can look at this and I can start seeing things in that maybe someone else won't, and therefore I think what happens when you do an exhibition and you've got something like this on the wall, you will find that it resonates with people to the point where, fingers crossed, they put their hand in their pocket and they buy it, because it's there's just, again, there's so much to sort of see in this image, and it comes back to what I said right at the start, which is how do you choose your color palette? So if I just go back to these two, you know, the color palettes blend with those quite nicely. The color palette blends with this one very nicely, but it's very different. So how do you decide how a color is going to work or not within a picture?
So I started with the blue on the top left here. So it was just a splash of tubes. So I'm just using tubes.
Okay.
Tubes and I started to expand, and then this is where ideas will start forming. And I say, well, this is my masculinity. The blue was really my masculinity at the time. I was really experimenting and actually putting up for discussion. So some part of my sexuality as well. So this is where I started to develop a theme as I was drawing. No, masculinity, femininity, and the feminine and the masculine word together. So the red and the blue, and then I started to put some yellow in the middle because I represented fluidity between those two. But I don't think about the color palette in the moment. It just made sense. It just made sense as I was playing.
Yeah. And it's one of the things photography wise is that there are rules that everybody is supposed to go by, but I certainly don't. My view is that it either looks right or it doesn't, and I think what you're saying the same thing. You follow a particular route, which also begs the question: do you have a particular workflow? Is there some things you do every time to set yourself up?
It's interesting you mentioned this in photography, because actually I've been a photographer at amateur level for 25 years. So actually it's always been an art that I follow in the background. So the rule of the contrast, light, speed and time, and all the kind of things is kind of embedded. And actually when I paint unconsciously, it's a kind of muscle memory. I think I apply some of the photography skills in here. Contrast is very important. Balance. Even in an abstract, you are looking for patterns. You're looking for repetition. You're looking for that harmony. In terms of setup, it's very important to do the setup. My table with my water, it has to be always on the right hand side. The brush is on the left. Everything has to have a place where I don't need to think, and it's kind of ritual. But also, I also do a meditation. I need to get into a zone. I need to free up from everything else is going in the world. I need to be alone. Nobody else when I do watercolors. So there's a preparation and setting up really myself for the journey. This is what I go into, and then it's very quick from there. No more than an hour and a half. I don't spend more than that for each drawing.
Well, oh really? Okay, that's interesting. I mean, it's I absolutely believe that the time it takes to create an image, etc., is irrelevant. I think the only reason why time is relevant is the time it takes you to get what you want, and if that's 10 minutes or 3 months, it doesn't actually matter. What's important is that you get to the point you need to be at the end of the piece of work that you're creating. I mean, I obviously I work completely differently. I think of the image I'm going to create and I see the whole thing finished, and the bit that I love is this bit to get it finished and solving that problem of how the hell am I going to do that. And it's a different, obviously a completely different way of working, but we're both completely different.
I noticed when we're putting up the runners outside, you are a doer, you're a fixer, you're a solution. You are working so quickly, finding a solution to everything. I really love your thought process.
Yeah, and I think I have to I've been like that all my life. So, it's problem solving has always been my thing. It doesn't necessarily help sometimes when you've got a friend who's got a problem and you think you can fix it. Same with, bringing up your family, your kids, your grandchildren, and things don't work out right for some, and you think you can fix it. Truth is you can't, and it's sometimes it then becomes quite difficult to deal with the fact that you can't fix it. But yes, I am a problem solver. So last one in this first little bit of series before we get on to other work. Again, this one, which I'd say out of all the ones we've looked at in this lot today, this is my favorite by some margin, actually, because absolutely love this image. So again, I think this is in the same series as the one we've just seen, isn't it? Is this one?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So this was a moment where I was completely lost, but it was a moment of surrender. My rational mind was so exhausted to find a way out of certain emotional state and some relationship challenges that I really wanted to express how shallow our rational mind can be, and this is kind of the bottom of the sea. So you got the surface on the top, and then the surface is our consciousness, and the whole bottom of the ocean is our unconscious. It's vast, incredibly vast. So I wanted just to put it in front of my eyes to take really to realize there's so much more inside me, and if I want to move on in my life, if I want to grow, I really needed to let go of what's on the surface and go down into the depth. That was the moment, but visualizing it, that brought really the moment to say, that's okay. I relinquish control. I relinquish, all the knowledge I got so far on certain aspect. I needed to start fresh. I needed to go deeper, much deeper than that.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why this is probably my favorite is because I think subconsciously that I felt that. And now that you've explained it as well, that's even given me even more admiration for the picture. I absolutely, absolutely love that image. Love the colors, love the way the colors work together. I can see the rough waters on the top, mountains, whatever in the background. I can see that, which is, you've got that kind of bubbling under the surface of the turbulent life, if you like, is sort of coming through that image. Really, really is one of my.
So nice, Gary. It's so nice to talk about this and reviewing it in sequence. It's quite a journey. I'm really enjoying this. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, absolute pleasure, Massimo. I mean, look, you know why I do this? I do this to showcase artists. One of the things that's really, really difficult, and I found this, I've been doing this since 2011. And the thing that I found the most difficult of all is PR. And doing this is showcasing artists to let the world see what they do. And also it means that you can say to people, look, if you want to know more about me, jump on, watch this video, because I'm talking about what I do, I'm talking about where I've come from, etc. And it's there for people to watch. Now, little change of direction now, because we're going to jump into your charcoal, which now very interesting. This work again. This is one that I also love. Love the shape. I love the sort of the movement that you've got within the charcoal image, the light and shade. So that would really appeal to me, because all of my work is about the application of light to create the images that I want. So I can see this absolutely in this. You've got that movement, but also you've got an element, for me anyway, you've got an element of tension in the lines that are following up the person's body. You've got that.
It was very special. It was very special model. Was a transgender, and bringing masculine and feminine at the same time. You can see the more muscular body, but a very feminine and curvy shape. And I unconsciously, again, I wanted to represent that. You know, there's a bit of curiosity, but also admiration for showing to the world the richness, or these two worlds are combined. So I work. This is on A1, so it's a poster.
Oh, it's quite a big one then.
And you work in a very crowded places. So I really took the floor in front of the model. So I just went down on the floor and just working with the charcoal in 20 minutes, because this is what you got. You got 20 minutes. I worked this one like crazy, without it, really, you don't know what you're doing in the moment. But it was very emotional piece.
So when you create stuff like this, do you also have them done as prints so that people can buy those as well as the original?
Yes. So that is. I think it's very important that people have different requirement. Actually, I got clients, most of the time they need a smaller size. Yesterday I had a client with a new house and say, I want bigger.
Yeah. It's not just a smaller size, it's affordability. People will go, oh my God, I absolutely love your work, I can't afford it, and you go, well, actually, yes, you can, because you can
full flexibility, frame on frame, the canvas original.
And I also think there's an element of, look, if you are selling smaller prints and people are buying those, more people are seeing your work. More people are, it's going on to different walls, and people are seeing your work, and they're more likely to come to you to look.
I have to do this. I have to do this because I got that painting. It's right on my wall today. Okay. I put it up yesterday. It's just happened. It's beautiful.
Oh wow! Yeah,
it's huge.
Wow. That's some size. That is some size. Wow.
Here we are. Took it on the wall live.
Yeah. Wow. That is amazing. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. We've got another one too, which is, and I don't know if, don't think this is the same model, because
completely.
These are all on your website, which we'll
very soft inward, very introvert model, laying down on the floor. So I wanted to give an idea that she was floating, almost levitating from the floor rather than being flat down. But there was a very shy tenderness, a very fragility and vulnerability that I wanted to capture from this model.
And that is, this is Nova Storm, is it? Is it that one?
Yes, this is Nova Storm.
Yeah, it's very, very good. Now, talking of bottoms, this happened at Flux.
Oh, Gary.
So this happened at Flux, and you can see my picture in the background there of two ladies walking down the middle of the road, and the young lady in front of me asked me a question, and the question was, how do you choose your bottoms?
Oh dear.
And I turned her around a little bit and I said, yeah, well, you know, it's a start. And I laughed.
I can only say good taste.
And then, you know, I laughed and we had a bit of a chat about it. And anyway, then I come in the next day and you came over to me and you went, so Gary, my wife, she's got to be in your pictures. Now, I had no clue that was your wife at all until you said that point, which was, and she never let on either. But she clearly
Yes.
she clearly likes your work because she was around you a long time, and also she came to the exhibition. But I'm even starting to blush, and I was even starting to go red now because I thought when you said to me,
it was quite something. It was quite something.
It was really, really, really
very,
funny.
very cheeky, but also she's got this deep and very particular curiosity, especially about her own bodies. So I know it. I know that something was going to happen. I didn't know what, but just with you, they were next to my wall. That was quite a coincidence. So,
Yeah,
and we are still here.
really.
That's remarkable, Gary. We are still here, and we talk. So
Well, I know what I think's also funny is that somebody captured that moment. Somebody actually with a camera actually captured the moment that I was talking to
very passionately. You look very
work.
Italian. You look very Italian there in that picture.
Yeah. Oh, now that's very funny you should say that because my wooden bow tie is Italian.
You see? There's a connection here.
Yeah, it's Italian. Yeah, I do. Yeah, as we've already said, absolutely love the place. So here we go. Let's come back to this point. So yes, so now that's now, and you say hello to your wife Erica from me, and say I'm still waiting for her to turn up in the studio, but.
I have no control whatsoever on that.
Yeah, but I do. But funny enough, quite a lot of the time when I am talking to people, that's where I get an awful lot of my ideas from, is out of conversations that I'll have with somebody. And you can see the pictures that are on the wall behind me, but and one of the flux artists at Piccadilly at Christmas there, she paints and wanted to be said, look, I'd love to be in some of your pictures, and I ended up, which is the one at the top behind me, I ended up putting her into one of her own paintings, and that was a collaboration. And we spoke a little bit about collaboration before we came on to this talk, and I've done some work with Caterina Diaz as well. I've done some collaboration with her. I love a little bit of collaboration because you bounce off each other. You come up with ideas. You bounce off different things. And sometimes I will, as I did here, I saw her painting and thought, yeah, I can do something where I can put you in one of your own pictures. And it's having, I think, having that ability to also accept collaboration. Some artists will no, but I think your world is enriched by having a bit of collaboration and bouncing ideas off something.
Right? You are not an island. As an artist, you need to have a constellation, of collaboration. In my opinion, actually, you find energy, inspiration. You find clients sometimes through other collaborations, and there is a give and take, a relationship that is continuously circular and reaching. There's only growth in collaborations, in my opinion.
Well, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to let people know. First of all, I've got got something about that, which is here's your website, and so people can jump on that. And I'm just going to actually share my screen, which will then show people what your website is like. Let me just maximize that so we disappear.
Emotion.
So art for engaging with the world. What a great little line. I think you've got some cracking lines on your website, I have to say.
Thank you.
And welcome to Energy. And that, having spent time with you, Massimo, and at Flux, energy is something you're definitely not lacking, and it actually exudes out of you. And I think this is probably why you had a lot of people around your work. You certainly seem to enjoy yourself anyway at Flux. Here people can see the different sides to your work as well. You've got a newsletter subscription, but you've also now, I think that is here somewhere. You've also got your coaching website. So am I on the right page for that? Yeah, here we are. So if we go to your coaching website as well,
Yes.
you can see here we've got a whole big section on this, and that brings me up to this imagination studio, which you have just
I'm here.
acquired, and that's where you are now.
Yeah, I'm here right now, and I'm connected from the studio. It's a place that I secured only a month ago. So this is my permanent basis in central London, in Southwark, and I'm gonna run all my creative and coaching activities from the studio for one-to-one or groups. So I really wanted for a very long time to have a central location in order to get access to everybody, but also to create an intimate experience. And I want to give people a cozy place for where they can have a time and space to experiment and go in deeper with a gentle process of art.
Well, I think it's very important to also to not just to have a base, but to have continuity.
Absolutely.
It's
very important. Here for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Well, I want to spend, I'm planning to stay years in here and build something really solid. And just to mention just one thing on the collaboration, the first collaboration setting up in the studio is with Katarina.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to run some workshops together, the mosaic, the soul. So we're going to do a mosaic for groups, and in order not to do this self-development and journey of the soul, discovering your soul and being authentic. So I really look forward to work with Katarina. She's a phenomenal artist.
Yeah, and she's very clever at what she does, Katarina. Not just with her work, but also how she promotes herself, the exhibition she does. She's really on it as an artist, which is what you need to be.
You got massive heart. I always look at heart for me. For me, that is the key part. Very warm heart, and
yeah, she kind of. I think also it's what that does. I think it does give you a lot of passion.
Yes.
Katarina's very passionate about what she does. You are too. I mean, talk to you today. It's very clear that you're passionate about what you do. I am. I think that we, I say this quite a lot, but no one tells you when you're 40 that you better get on now. You haven't got long left. You better crack on. When you get to my age, you start to think, hold on a second. There's all these things I've got in me that I want to do. And one of the things when I'm talking to sort of young people, I generally say to them, look, don't wait. You got something inside you want to do, whether it's painting, music, writing a book, doesn't matter what it is. Be a bit selfish and go and do it, because at the end of the day, the worst thing that can happen is you learn something. But at least you don't want to be sitting when you're in old age, looking out the window, thinking, "Why didn't I do that?"
It's never too late. It's never too late. So if you are listening to us right now and you got something in your mind, just crack on, just do it. Come to us. We will give you inspiration. We will give you something that is to put you on the road.
And that's another reason for me doing this is to inspire people to try. And I did have a lady who came to one of my exhibitions, and she was immaculately dressed, fabulous looking outfit. She looked amazing, and she said, "Oh, I haven't got a creative bone in my body." And so I said to her, "So, husband dressed you then, did he?" And she went, "What?" I said, "Well, you can't tell me you've just opened the wardrobe door and pulled a few clothes out and put them on. You've thought exactly about what you're going to wear, and you've thought exactly what you want to create." Yeah. So don't tell me you're not creative, because look at you.
Everybody's not. That's my mission. That's my mission. Helping people to find their inner artist.
You just got, absolutely.
Not to feel alive. It's not just for the art, for the sake of art. It's to feel alive. That is the thing.
Yeah, it is something that is quite important, and it's amazing how many people, for instance, will say, "Oh, I can't sing. I'm tone deaf." Actually, it's not that at all. Most times, it's because they can't actually hear themselves. And I used to say to people, "Well, just cup your ear or put your hand in front of your mouth." That then bounces back to your ears, and suddenly you can hear it, and then you start singing in tune. It's just understanding.
God gave us 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. Use them in that sequence.
that I wish there was a lot more people who actually did exactly that, Massimo, that's for sure. There is one thing to say. There would be people watching this thinking, why can't we put anything in the chat? And I probably should have said this right at the start, but we are pre-recording this because you've got to go out tonight.
Nice,
so
yeah.
we've recorded this a couple of hours before it actually goes out. But it's no big deal. It still goes out as though it's live. It's just that you can't add any comments in, but please put comments underneath, and we will answer them if you're watching this. I know one of the people that watches every week's Paolo.
Yeah, get in touch for coaching, for art, for a coffee.
Yeah,
I do wonderful coffee.
You run wonderful coffee. Yeah,
I do espresso all the way, all the not the espresso, the Nespresso business.
No. I've recently bought a bean to cup machine, and interestingly, we're just working our way through different coffees to find the one that we like. And Keith, remember Keith, who was on the door at Flux? He took me to a coffee shop. He said, "Come on, I'll take you for a coffee." As we were one morning when we got there early, and we must have walked past about 5 coffee shops. And I'm going, "Keith, what's wrong with this one?" He went, "No, we're going to the one in just up the road from Baker Street Tube Station." And the coffee was amazing. And he said, "I can just tell you, I specialize. Coffee's my thing. This coffee will be amazing." I haven't managed to get back there yet to buy a bag of beans because it's their own coffee. But
it's a whole secret. I'm running on coffee.
You're right.
Forget about art. Forget about coaching. It will not work.
Well, our hour's pretty much up, Massimo. I've absolutely loved every second
Gary,
of this.
Thank you very much. And even the surprise picture, my wife appreciate it. Honestly.
Yeah, I thought it's absolutely hilarious. And look, things like that are the things that make Flux such a great show, because it's good fun. It's really good fun. And I think also, I help a lot. That's something that I've wanted to do right from my very first Flux I've ever did, because it's just such a great sort of show to be a part of. But thank you very much, Massimo.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You're doing a great job, Gary. You are amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And don't
artists as well.
Well, don't run away just yet. I'm going to sign off with everybody. We'll have a quick little chat afterwards. I know you're going out.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, and stay in touch.
Fantastic. Let me just do that. And well, there you go. I told you it would be interesting. What an interesting man Massimo is. Fantastic life. You would never guess in a million years all the things that he's done before he came to art and Flux, really, because without Flux, I certainly wouldn't have met him. And it's absolutely fantastic. Just one more reminder, of course, is this one was pre-recorded. Next week's, as I've already said right at the start, is with Rennie Pilgrim. What I didn't say right at the start is that Rennie's actually my cousin, and there's a whole big backstory between Rennie and myself, which we will touch on next week. That one will be live. because we've organised it. I'm then not going to be around for the following two. Actually going to finally have a holiday, but I'm not going to be around for the following two. And then we've got some great guests lined up for the coming weeks after that. So it'll be fantastic to see you. And all left for me to say is have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Thanks very much.